Hey up, you lot. So yeah, the charity shop I volunteer at, they've they've got so many records, and none of them ever sell. All the good stuff goes, and we're left with the same old junk. So the manager said, "Let's just put it out for 25p each." And then a whole bunch more came in, so she was just like, "Stick it in the, have a look through, see if there's anything that's worth out. If not, 25p." So I pulled out of the 25p box the Perfumed Garden. I was attracted because it says, where is it? A dramatisation of the famous Arabian work on the art of erotic love by Sheikh Nefzawi. Sorry, Sheikh Nefzawi. I know you were alive in the 16th century, but I still want to get your name right, pal. So, yeah, I was intrigued for 25p. It's a gatefold as well. So, my thought was that if I've got to listen to this, then I'm going to make you listen to it as well. Now, in all honesty, I didn't buy this thinking, hey, this is going to be some seriously spicy joy on LP. It's 2022. There's the internet, you know? But I've never owned a spicy spoken word LP before. And I wanted to have a listen, and I thought, right, I pay 25p to hear that, just out of bizarre curiosity. Now, it is adapted by Marion Reed, who I've not found a lot out about. She did write a couple of things, and the cast isn't that well known now. The big standout names are Robert Vahi from he was in Howard's Way, and Joyce Windsor, who I think was Ruby the neighbour in Butterflies with Wendy Craig. So it was released in 1973 on Stream Records. There's the logo. That famous record label. And it was also available on audio cassette, an 8-track, so you could listen to it in your Ford Cortina as you drove around town trying to impress the ladies, listening to some weirdly adapted Arabian spicy nonsense. I'm sure I'm not dissing Sheikh Nefzawi. Like, I'm sure the original in the 16th century was like quite groundbreaking and, you know, wow. But I don't quite understand the drive behind like Marion Reed reading the Perfume Garden and going, do you know what? I want to make a full cast dramatisation of this. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm going to detach my microphone so I can hold it up to the speaker so you guys can hear properly, and let's get into some spicy shenanigans. Now I have to say I've also cleaned this record, and it's still crackly and bad, and I think it's just been played by somebody lots and lots of times. Probably in the 70s, when things were much, much more groovy and we didn't have the internet.
But what puzzles me is where did it all start? Look at them. People have been doing that for thousands of years.
Do not torment yourself with such a question. Simply be thankful to your Maker, the head gardener in this flowery paradise, that he saw fit to place man's greatest pleasure in the vagina of a woman, and has so arranged matters that the penis of a man shall give her the greatest enjoyment she can ever experience.
These lasses have obviously never been to bingo.
I'm bored.
What?
I'm bored.
It was his idea when he created woman that this cloven orifice should feel nothing until it had been penetrated by a man.
Cloven orifice.
What are you... oh!
Better?
Much better. Don't stop.
And excite all men who call themselves men. The beauty and roundness we have talked about are, as you can see, supported on 2 thighs. Between them you will find the arena of delicious combat, which looks at first sight like the head of a lion. It is the mystery called vulva, responsible for
The arena of delicious combat.
Those who emerge victorious from the fight deserve to be called heroes. God has designed this object with remarkable cunning, giving it a mouth,
Looks
a
fascinating.
tongue, and 2 lips. It is like the imprint of a gazelle's hoof in the desert sand.
Yeah.
This edifice is supported on pillars of finest marble, grainy and
Come
white.
now, we have much to
Further
discuss.
decorated
and
with
more to
leaves.
see.
We've had enough. Quit it, love. We want to see something else now. This is very jolly.
I was in love with a woman who was all grace and perfection. She had a glorious figure and all imaginable charms. Her cheeks had the bloom of fresh roses, her forehead was as white as the lily, her lips were the pink of coral, her teeth gleamed like the finest pearls, her breasts
Like pegs of hard cream.
luscious of fruits. When her mouth opened, it was like a rosebud bursting into flower. Her dark eyes were beautifully slanted and had a dreamy look. Her voice was sweet, her skin was perfect, her vulva was rounded like an arch, and its centre breathed fire.
Like an arch that breathes fire.
Soft to the touch without any trace of dampness. When she walked, you saw its shape beneath her clothes, proud like a dome or inverted teacup. When she reclined on her couch, it was visible between her thighs.
When she walked, you could see it like an inverted teacup in her pants.
Was a neighbour of mine,
Wow.
just over there by that house with the 4 minarets. I was on the best of terms with all the other women in the street. I was welcome in any of their beds. They knew what I had to offer. Hello, my sweet. Is your husband still keeping you happy?
Not nearly as well and not nearly as often as you, Joe Idy.
I'll tell you some stories about that one. But to return to Fadihat, for that is her name. She avoided me, so naturally she became the only woman I wanted. Whenever I contrived to get into conversation with her, doing my very best to arouse her interest, even going so far as to tell her of my passion, she always answered me with this riddle.
Among the mountain tops, a tent I saw. You only had to raise your eyes to spy it. But alas, the pole that held it was no more. A jug without a handle could not be less complete. The cords were slack, the centre sank right in, just like a cooking pot or baking tin.
Every time she repeated this riddle to me, I became more frustrated.
Yeah.
It really did.
What is this, love? Countdown?
I consulted everyone I knew, including the wise men and philosophers who abound in this town. But it was no use. Then someone told me about Abu Nuwas, the wisest man in the country, they said.
He'll know.
He lived a long way off,
He'll
but
know.
he would most certainly know the answer. It took a while, but I finally found him. Told me what I wanted to know. It seemed that Fadihat really wanted...
That's changing the mood a little.
This woman, Fadihat, she is beautiful. So she is infatuated with you and will look at no other. She is well built and curvaceous.
You are right about her figure, O wise one, but wrong about her regard for me.
And a giant vulva that breathes fire.
Like a twinkling of such a love.
She has no husband.
That is true.
Then I would say that your member is small, which cannot satisfy her, for she must have a well-endowed lover with a weapon like that of an ass. Though I may well be wrong.
Indeed you are. My member is more than full-sized and has satisfied the most demanding of women.
All right, awkward conversation.
Thought of Faddy Hat. See how it raises its head beneath my robe.
Look, I'm fine. I'm even getting turgid now just while we're chatting, lad. Well, that's not awkward, is it?
I mean that all is well. Your problem is already solved. You see, the tent in the riddle symbolises a large forward-place vulva. The mountains between which it rises are the thighs. The pole which formerly supported it is no more, which means she has no husband. The jug without a handle to hold it by is just as useless as a vagina without a penis. A woman without a husband has no chance of enjoying complete happiness. That is what she means when she says the cords are slack and the roof is sinking in. As for the cooking pot, well, here we can read her lascivious and insatiable nature. A cooking pot must be stirred. She's obviously crying out for a mammoth-sized wooden spoon. No teaspoon would satisfy her.
And a mustard spoon will be right out.
The proportion required, it wouldn't give her any satisfaction. But take this advice and heed it well. You must enlace her with your hands and feet and hold her close. You must on no account let her be consumed in her own fire, like a saucepan that is neglected by the cook and burns for want of a good stir. Now you can see why the lady has...
We all want a good stir, don't we?
Having fanned her...
I said I would speak further to you on the subject of women, those beautiful golden creatures who nevertheless can be devious, black, and ugly.
Yeah.
I have discovered a poem on the subject. My servant will read it for us. Ali.
Come on, Ali.
Women are demons and were conceived as such. The man's a fool who thinks they merit trust. Their so-called love is nothing but a whim. They'll turn their backs on kindliness, find a beater, and then dote on him. Full of tricks, guile, and deceit. I pity him who loves you most, for he is well and truly lost. Give one of them your love. Not only you, but all you have is hers. Afterwards she'll say he gave me nothing, and goad you on to beg and buy or borrow.
Contemptible. Absolutely. Take note of the appearance of such women, for does not the outward show denote what lurks within? The woman who ranks low in my esteem is ugly and garrulous. She has a mop of woolly hair, a projecting forehead, small bleary eyes, an enormous nose, and a large mouth with many missing teeth.
Right.
Her vulva,
Well, it's
should you get them,
not her fault.
is large and cold. Such a woman can give no pleasure to men. Equally contemptible,
Poor lass, everybody needs a bit of loving.
cackling and running to the neighbours with gossip. Likewise, the strict types, whose faces are always screwed up in a scowl. The babbler and the big mouth who gives away her husband's secrets. She who refuses when her spouse wishes to perform the conjugal rite, and makes no move to help him in his business affairs, but is constantly nagging him with tears and complaints. She offers no sympathy when he's downhearted, but jokes at his expense, and gives herself to other men, making herself presentable for them. No man could be happy with such a wife. Allah preserve us from them.
Can one do anything with an unruly woman? Or is it a complete waste of time to try?
There is one sovereign remedy for all women's ills. Their religion lies in their vulvas. They worship the idol that resides between the legs of men. They hunger and thirst after intercourse like pilgrims after the Holy Grail.
So yeah, the rest of the album is just examples of how they're quite derogatory towards women. Yeah, it's very odd and was worth 25p, but not much more. If you really need to hear the rest of this album, you can get it on Discogs for about £2. So knock yourself out, yeah. It's The Perfume Garden from 1973 on Stream Records, starring him from Howard's Way and her from Butterflies. Thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you lovely folks in the next video, providing I haven't put you off my channel entirely for the rest of your lives. There'll be no more spicy LPs, I promise. Well, unless I find any for 25p.